Hey everybody, it's Katie. Today I want to talk about assembling your birth team and who the most important person in the room is going to be, well, besides yourself and the baby, and that is Dad. So today I want to talk a little bit more about it and unpack just why it's so important and what that looks like. My husband was present for both births. Actually, the second one he ended up delivering. The second one, that's a whole nother story, but he was present for the labor and delivery of both of our daughters, and I know that it was a pretty big deal for him. It changed him. Both times, I think, it changed his life, I would say both times, and for different reasons each time. And for that, I always knew, but I realized firsthand the importance of having him in the room. The first time after our oldest was born, they actually handed him the baby immediately because I had some issues immediately following the birth, and the midwives were assisting me, and so they handed the baby to him. And I know that out of the corner of my eye, I could see my giant husband over in the corner holding this tiny, minutes-old little baby, and just the emotion on his face and the expression on his face is probably something I'll never forget. It was adoration. It was a little bit of terror, I'm not gonna lie, but it was just this really incredible thing to see him holding this baby, and I know for him it was a really big deal as well. And then again with the second baby, delivering her, which I know is not quite as common, he delivered her, but again, I have a memory of him, just holding her. As I got ready to leave the house, they were getting me ready to go into an ambulance, but I have this picture that I think maybe my dad took, and it's of him holding, again, this little tiny baby, and just the pride. And, he was so excited. These are important things for daddies. These are very important things. Before I go any further today, I want to speak directly to those of you who may be single mamas watching this video. First of all, I want to tell you that you're amazing and that you can do this. And it might not look exactly like what I'm talking about, but it can and will be incredible. So I would encourage you to find whoever it is that you love the most in your life, or whoever is closest to your heart, and ask them to join you and walk with you through this time. Because if you have someone who you trust and someone that you love and someone who's willing to do this with you, it will take a tremendous amount of pressure off of you and out of the situation. So for you single mamas, when you hear me talk about dad, you just drop in whoever it's going to be, whether it's your best friend or your mom or your cousin or whoever it's going to be. Think of that and just know that you can have an amazing experience even if there is no father in the picture. A few months ago, as I was cruising through social media, I saw the sweetest video, and I think that it drives this point home of the importance of having the father in the room when the baby's born. Because, not too long ago, dads actually weren't welcome in the delivery room. They were out sitting in the lobby smoking, probably in a hospital, or pacing nervously while their wife and a bunch of doctors did all the work. The importance of having the father in the room. I saw this video and it was the sweetest thing, and I don't remember the exacts of what was happening in the moment, but it was a very fresh little baby, and it was laying on a table. I think it was getting weighed, or it was just in the moments when it was away from its mother. And it was crying and just screaming because it's like, it's bright in here, I'm naked and cold, what's happening, And then enter in the father, and he puts his head down right next to the baby, and the baby's laying on the table, kind of going like this and crying, and the father puts his head right here, and he starts speaking. He was either speaking or singing, but he starts talking, and you see the baby, fuss for a minute, and then it stops, and it turns its little head, and it looks, and it tries to focus in on where its father was at. And I remember thinking, oh my gosh. So you might have just birthed a little tiny baby goo who doesn't have a whole lot going on, but I'm going to tell you that hearing that voice for the duration of your pregnancy, so it's obviously hearing you, but it's also hearing the people that you're around. And if the father is there and is speaking and talking, and they're going to be familiar, this baby's going to be familiar with his voice. And I just remember thinking, oh my gosh, that's so sweet. But it happened with our daughter too. You know, our firstborn, she would lay on his chest and he would just talk and sing, and she would calm right down. And I'm thinking, okay, so she might not be aware of a whole lot, but she knows who her daddy is and she knows who her mommy is. Another aspect of the importance of having the father in the picture and in the room with you, helping you through this process is, if you're married, then you're a team, and this is something that you work through together. And if you've been married for any amount of time, or you've been together for any amount of time, it's likely that you have worked through conflict and you have figured out each other's strengths and weaknesses. And much like that, when you have a moment where, as a mom, where you're just like, I can't do this anymore, I'm gonna die, that's when, they say, no, you're doing good, you can do this. And it's this teamwork and the encouragement. And, because my husband's my best friend. And so to hear him encourage me and tell me that I'm doing a good job and that I can do it and all that, that gives me, or that did give me, the sometimes the oomph that I needed to make it through that moment of what I was doing. Now, obviously, there's some really great reasons why you have your husband in there, but there's also this little reason that's in the back of all of our heads. And that's like, okay, you did this to me. This is your fault. I am dying because of you. Never mind that I wanted the baby too, but I'm not going to lie, that probably went through my head a couple times, especially with our firstborn. I'm like, I'm going to die and it's all his fault. And I can remember him sitting there looking very concerned, wanting to just splash him with the water, like, get away from me. It's your fault. I didn't, and it's fleeting, but there's, it's true. This is your fault. One last pro for having your husband in the room or your partner in the room with you is going to be that you are not going to be on your A game, full 100% coherent when people are talking around you and making decisions, or if there's things that are happening and that that need your undivided attention. Well, if you're laboring and you're in the throes of it, you're not really going to probably be in that moment maybe very logical. So another really good reason to have the guy in the room with you, with the husband, the father, is because they're also going to be able to, it's another set of ears, and it's another person on your team who's going to be able to answer some of these questions, or who's going to be able to work with the healthcare providers regarding your care and what's happening in your pregnancy. So it's someone else, the most important person in your life, probably, if it's your husband or your partners, they're going to have your best interest at heart. So it's good to have him in the room, because it's like, okay, this is someone who's not pushing out a baby and who can think straight. Thanks so much for watching, guys. We have a Facebook page and we have a blog. If you haven't checked us out there, we would love to have you do that. We would also like to invite you to be a subscriber. If you want to click on the little subscribe button, that way you will be notified when we put out new videos, which happens every week. And we've got videos about babies and about delivering and labor and nursing and budgeting and crazy kids and discipline and all that stuff. So we would love to have you check us out and join us on our journey into family. And if you liked the video, please give it a like. That is encouragement for me to keep doing what I'm doing and keep talking. And also, if there's anybody that you think that would benefit from hearing this or from watching this video, I would be honored if you would consider sharing it. So that's it, guys. Thanks so much for watching, and hopefully we will see you again next week. Bye.